recently retired head of domestic intelligence at the State Security Agency, Advocate Mahlodi Muofhe, has now been cleared of an allegation that he had falsified his academic records. Earlier this year, the former head of the State Security Agency demanded the Inspector General of Intelligence, Dr. Mahlodi Muofhe, retract a statement on these allegations. Well, Advocate Muofhe joins me now to talk about the outcomes. Advocate, good evening. Thank you very much indeed for coming through. I really do appreciate it. You've been cleared of these claims. Who do you think made them against you?
Good evening, Stephen, and your viewers. Yeah, it's ironic that it is said I've been cleared when, in fact, I was never put before anybody investigating this matter. The fact of the matter is the person who triggered all these things is the former acting DG, Loyiso Jafta, working with a journalist from ENC, I must say. And for some reason, you know, they then wanted to question my qualifications, when in fact Jafta knew them because he was the employer. I understand perhaps the agenda was a bit bigger than that, not necessarily about my qualifications. And the Inspector General was brought in, and I think he fell deep into the deep end without even following basic procedural standards of investigating anything. And it is hurting for me, my family, my friends. But I think, you know, I cry for my beloved country that we get to a stage where some people are appointed through a parliamentary process, by the way. The Inspector of Intelligence is appointed through interview, gets interviewed by Parliament. And how do they get to give us someone who do not even understand the basics of checking the simplest things on earth, you know, qualifications? It cannot take anybody more than 15 minutes to check these things. My own grandson just couldn't understand, who is a teenager, that how is it so difficult to check anybody's qualifications? Now, come to think of it, this thing, according to Dinto himself, surfaced around May in 2020. And by the time when he went on air, and even that period, he not even one word talking to me. We are colleagues. We work in the same space. He's got my number. Instead of coming to me, he went on air. And by the way, even up to date, you know, he has never really spoken with me other than sending this letter now. I find it very strange, but I think South Africans must get worried that such a simple thing takes almost a year for the Inspector General of Intelligence to investigate a simple thing. Granted, even if you had to do it, if you take a year to investigate this thing, intelligence matters are so complex. So you need someone who understands them far much better than he does.
Do you believe that he was, I mean, you say he didn't do this properly, so do you believe he was incompetent, or do you believe he was deliberately slow? Was he was there an agenda in the length of time this investigation took?
Well, the period I spent in the intelligence service, which is a reasonable period, by the way, I never gained any impression that he understood what he was doing in that position. That's my position.
So you would suggest that the Inspector General of Intelligence, Dr. Dintwe, is incompetent for the position?
I am basically saying, Stephen, if you have someone in that critical position who does not even know the basics of investigating a simple thing as qualification verification, how do you get such a person to investigate more complex intelligence issues in the country? We rely, as South Africa, in the Inspector General to ensure that he weaves the intelligence community into line when they get off track.
you believe it? Go on.
But if we cannot get to do a simple thing as checking qualifications, what else can he do best?
Do you believe he's unfit for the post? Should he be removed?
Well, that's not my call. I'm just saying that, you know, when we talk about renewal, rebuilding of our country, these are concepts which I think we must take to heart, because this renewal and rebuilding of our country enjoins us as South Africans to really take concrete steps across the board to ensure that whoever is occupying any position, whether in the public service as an official or in the political space, is fit for purpose. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for us to get out of, you know, the economic morass we're in now. The president might try everything he wants to try so that he gets out of this place, but him alone won't be able to do it. He needs all of us, you know, South Africans, and especially those who are employed in government, in state-owned institutions, you know, to come along. Now, we need people who are fit for purpose to do this.
I mean, it would seem to me that you couldn't have a proper state security agency, you couldn't have proper intelligence agencies without an Inspector General capable of doing the job.
Yes, hence I'm saying that that is a critical position. That is why it's a parliamentary process to appoint an Inspector General of Intelligence. But if we get to a situation where a person goes through that process and the outcome of that process is this product, then we've got to ask ourselves, where did we go wrong? I'm really pretty much optimistic and happy that in this current administration, there is some oomph to try and get work done properly. There are missteps here and there, but I think the vision to work in the same direction is there. And hopefully, new appointments coming on, and in fact, even those that have been made by our president in this current administration. I mean, to have someone like Advocate Shamila Batoy heading the NPA, it's a plus. To have Dr. Livia at the Hawks, I mean, people used to say the Hawks, in fact, are clipped of their wings, but they're doing a lot of work now. SIU, majority of us didn't even know what the SIU was doing until Advocate Mtibi went there. SIU is doing so much. So there is a bit of work, or a lot of work being done. We just need to rally behind those who are doing good things so that we can get South Africa on the right path.
There's still a lot going on in intelligence circles, and I realize that you're now recently retired. But, I mean, there were claims this week about the ANC MP, Dr. Shamai Harvard, claims of an intelligence report denied by officials this morning. When you see claims of an intelligence report involving an ANC MP, what do you think is happening? Is there really an intelligence report, or is someone making things up?
Well, Stephen, I'm not there. But I can guarantee you that if I was there, if there was something like that, you know, I would have gone through it and interrogated it so much. You know, when I saw it, you know, my mind went back to the back past where a minister could be recalled from London on a very critical mission of attracting investors into the country, and be recalled basically because there was some intelligence product about him which turned out to be a bad intelligence product. How I wish we don't get to that stage. I think the country deserves better. We want to rebuild our country, we want to renew our country, and I am, you know, Stephen, and I'm really telling the truth, there are many young women and men capable of doing a lot good at the intelligence services. We just need to support them and make sure that the intelligence services, especially the security, is well managed. I am happy that it reports directly now to the president, and hopefully, and with Dr. Mufamadi there, and the current acting DG who hates corruption, I'm sure, given some time, it will start working very well.
There's a huge credibility crisis around our intelligence agencies, and you've gone on the record with the work that you did. And I mean, because of the nature of intelligence, you know, that's behind the scenes. We don't get to see all of it. The problem is that as the public, we do not know what is really happening. We see this and we see that, and we see different pictures, and we try and put the puzzle together. When we see a picture like this report, a piece of the puzzle like the Harvard report, which may or may not exist, that Zizi Kodwa, the Deputy Minister, says it doesn't exist. I'd like to believe him. We have the previous reports, Browse Mole, what happened with Pravin Gordhan that you alluded to, all the rest. The fact is, I think now many South Africans don't trust our intelligence services at all. Do you think we can trust them?
Well, trust is earned, Stephen, anyway. And as I say, that there are many women and men in the intelligence services who want to do a good job. And the onus is on them to do the right things so that South Africans can end up believing in them. We have started the process of rebuilding the agency. I hope that they'll continue in that trajectory. You know, Stephen, intelligence in a democratic South Africa is not the same as intelligence in the past, which basically almost killed majority of our people. You know, it's a democratic intelligence, so it must do things within the law. Once people in the intelligence services start stealing and you don't report them to the police or to the hawks, you are doing something wrong yourself. So if we can get into that culture, that the pairs we have in the kitty as the intelligence services, it's meant to do service for South Africans, not for themselves. And if anyone amongst us steals, we have to go and report that case. And that's what I basically did. And you'd be surprised, these are some of the things perhaps behind the scenes where people were worried that they may end up being outed as well as people who would have perhaps had their fingers in the till in the past. I mean, when I left, together with my colleagues who hate corruption, we had opened up almost 7 serious criminal cases now. And by the way, Stephen, it's the first time that criminal cases have been opened with the police, because there's no any other authority in terms of our constitution which can investigate criminal conduct.
Do you believe that's why Dr. Dintwe kept the case open against you for so long, to stop you doing that?
Look, as I say, I'm not even too sure whether he understood the mandate. You know, I think he just fell for everything. As long as he could be on TV or something like that, I think that excited him. I think the bigger picture, he probably didn't even understand it.
Advocate Mahlodi Muofhe, former head of state security former head of the State Security Agency, and of course a long track record as a human rights lawyer. So thank you very much indeed for coming into the Pulse. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.